We have a very important congressional race going on to be decided on June 26th between Hakeem Jeffries, who is an intelligent, constructive, accomplished member of the State Assembly, who has passed constructive legislation, who has united people around a common agenda, who doesn't divide people and doesn't spew hate-filled rhetoric. Against him is Charles Barron. And everything that David said, that Councilman Greenfield said, unfortunately is accurate. Just looking at some of the quotes he has said, Gaza is a virtual death camp, the same kind of conditions Nazis imposed on the Jews, unquote. What shameful, disgusting rhetoric to compare Israel to the Nazis. Anyone who does that has no basis in civilized, has no right almost to be in civilized society, never mind in Congress. To say that the Israelis massacre the Palestinian people, what this amounts to is genocide. Genocide? Charles Barron is the most anti-Israel person that I know of in public life. He is the most outrageous comments. His presence in Congress would be poisonous to rational discourse, to any chance of making progress on Middle East peace, or advancing intelligent policy. It would be poisonous to relations between different groups in the city and this state, in this country. Short of some of other people who have made similar comments, who mostly in groups that wear white hoods.
I just want to say that this is not just another press conference. This is a press conference. It's serious. When a child tells you that there's a scary monster, we all know that there's no such thing as scary monsters. But ladies and gentlemen, today we have a scary monster. And we have to make sure, send a message out June 26th, that we must eliminate this monster from the American history.
One, Hakeem Jeffries is a class act, and one, Charles Barron, is a malignant clown. The elected officials have spoken. The people now have to speak. I urge all of our friends and those who are like-minded in seeing New York City move forward. I grew up in a New York City that was far different and is far different than we have today. Our friends in Mill Basin, our friends in Manhattan Beach, our friends in Coney Island, Marine Park, Seagate, and yes, our friends in Brownville, East New York, Clinton Hill, Williamsburg, Crown Heights. We are all one. We want to see New York City move forward together in a peaceful way. Charles Barron represents everything that is wrong with our society. As the elected official said, I strongly urge us, the voters, those of us on the street in those districts, make sure you vote on June 26th for Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you.
Those of us who are here, both as elected officials and community leaders, we don't agree on everything, but I think we all agree that Charles Barron is a hate monger. This is an individual who doesn't actually believe the Jews are Jewish. This is true. I want to repeat that. He does not actually believe the Jews are Jewish. He does not believe there should be a state of Israel. He doesn't believe there's anything wrong with palling around with his friends who are dictators. He's actually said very clearly that Israel is the #1 terrorist state in the world. Imagine that, a state that actually tries to combat terrorism every day, according to him, is the #1 terrorist state. He's compared Israel to the Nazis, and he counts as his friends 2 of the top dictators, historic dictators. If you look at any top dictator list, you will find Robert Mugabe and the late Omar Gaddafi are on that list. This is a man who actually hosted Mugabe here in New York City, and in fact said that Muammar Gaddafi was a freedom fighter. This is an individual, unfortunately, who really is somebody who's a hate monger. He's an anti-Semite, he's anti-Jewish, he's anti-white. Very famously, of course, said that nothing would give him greater pleasure than walking down the street and slapping the first white guy that he saw. I just want to be very clear about one thing. I know Charles Barron pretty well. He's my colleague in the city council. A lot of people like to dismiss it and say, oh, he's crazy. No, Charles Barron is not crazy. Charles Barron is a very intelligent man. He's somebody who understands exactly what he's doing, and when he goes out there, when he makes anti-Semitic and racist and incendiary remarks, he does so intentionally with a very specific, hateful agenda. And so we're here today to condemn him. And we're here to make it clear that this is not an individual who, in my opinion, is fit to hold any office in this land, including the current office that he holds, much less to be a United States congressman, and much less to be somebody who will get out there. And if Charles is elected, I believe that he will be the most prominent anti-Semite in the United States of America.
You know, one thing about Charles Barron, he's an equal opportunity hater. Thank God it's not just the Jews and it's not just Israel. He hates white people as well. He's got a problem with white people as well. My real complaint with Charlie Barron, to be honest with you today, will the real Charlie Barron please stand up and stop pretending? You know, I can't stand what Charles Barron is all about, but the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's not being honest with the people of his district. He's a different person. What are the people of his district to expect? Is it the old Charles Barron, the hate monger, all his life? Or is it the guy who's taking political direction the last 2 or 3 weeks? He sounds like some kind of moderate. He sounds like, hey, you know, nice guy. We need to look at Charles Barron's record. That record is filled with hate. That record is filled with divisiveness. We don't need that in New York. We don't need that in the United States Congress. We can have our differences, that's fine. But we don't need a Charles Barron in the United States Congress.
The city of New York is extraordinary. We have the sons and daughters of every nation of the world. West, blacks, Hispanics, Jews, Italians, Poles, every nation in the world is represented here. And we've learned to live together. It's extraordinary. We are a model for the country. But in every wonderful place, there is a viper. The name of the viper, Charles Barron. Now, I know Charles. And what is so interesting about him is that he can be very charming. So can a snake. The fact is that what he has said in the past is so vile and vicious, assailing and assaulting of Israeli Jews and such, supporters of the state of Israel, that it's simply not acceptable. Now, the problem is that we're in an unusual election year, and so many people don't know who represents them or who is running, or when the election is. And there will regrettably not be as high a turnout as is normally the case. And that's what's worrisome, because you can be sure that the people who know Barron, support him, they'll get there. They're vicious, just like him. And the people who, if they knew him for what he is, would rush to the may not know that the election is taking place. And that's why we're here. Basically, we're saying, examine this guy. He's no good. I can tell you, because I know him. Now, Hakeem Jeffries is a unique guy. He's a star. I met him a couple of years ago, and as I said a couple of moments ago, I said to him, half a dozen people, and everybody likes you. This is very unusual for someone in politics. I haven't met anyone who dislikes you. But it's more than that. They admire him. I admire him. He is a first-class guy who will represent this district in a first-class way.
Thank you. As somebody who has interviewed Charles Barron, and people have said to me, how could somebody not be embarrassed about saying these terrible things, that we're not real Jews, that Israelis are mowing down Palestinians, and things of that nature. And in fact, I've caught him. He knows it's not true, but he says it's for his own political benefit. And that's the most dangerous kind of individual who espouses hatred, racism, anti-Semitism to really go ahead in politics. And we have to send a clear message on June 26th that such racism and anti-Semitism has no place in Brooklyn, no place in New York, no place in the United States.
First time ever where you have only a congressional election, and the result is that most people will not come out to vote. We are frankly concerned that when you have a demagogue like Charles Barron, he's got his little group. They will come out to vote because they're his group, and everybody else, they just very few may come out to vote. So we're here to warn people that this is a very important election, that there is an election on on June 26th, that people who may live in my district and say, oh, Jerry's not running, but someone is running because it's no longer going to be my district. Now it's going to be Hakeem Jeffries or Charles Barron. You got to come out and vote when you might otherwise not realize it. And that's our purpose now. We're not here to say that we particularly see a great outswelling of support, God forbid, for Charles Barron, but he's got his group. They will vote, and we have to make sure that the majority of the people in the district know there's an election and know what's at stake.